If magic is the practical application of religion and is fundamental to the gospel of Jesus Christ, which it is, then what is faith? According to Joseph Smith, it is faith that is the governing principle of the universe by which all things exist and operate. Like magic, faith is a principle of power. It is the principle of power by which all things are created and exist. This begs the following questions. What is the inherent nature of magic, and what is the inherent nature of faith? What makes them principles of power, and how do they operate? As we have noted before, real magic is intentional magic, a mental act that directly affects the physical world in some way. Prayer, incantation, and ritual are forms of this kind of magic. Magic is not recognized by modern science, since it violates what it believes to be principles, conventions, and laws. Yet, as science itself has demonstrated, it works. Dean Radin believes that magic is simply the effects of consciousness independent of space and time.
And the idea of it is that if you take the notion of non-local consciousness as a real construct, you simply say, we think that is real, and we have lots of scientific reasons for that, and there's philosophical reasons, it's a leading edge of science. What do we do with that idea? Well, the first thing that you notice is you go back to the history of the esoteric traditions, all the way back to shamanism, and that is the perennial philosophy. It is codified in basically two forms. One is consciousness is fundamental, and consciousness comes before space and time. That's like the most pithy way you can shove together 50,000 years of esoteric lore. If that is true, if that lore is true, it means that our esoteric ideas about magic are also true.
Joseph Smith would have concurred with Dr. Radin's formulation that the power behind real magic is mental intent or consciousness. Joseph explained in his lectures on faith that the principle of power underlying faith is mental exertion, his term for mental intent or consciousness. It is the mental exertion behind faith that empowers the greatest miracles, and not any form of physical force. Magic encompasses three modes of expression: divination, force of will, and theurgy, all of which are also aspects of the gospel and the fruits of faith.
And so you could say, well, let's do a synthesis of all of this scrambled lore about magic. What does it mean? It comes down to three things. You have divination, the ability to see at a distance through space and time. You have force of will. Your intention can push the world around. And you have something that the tradition is called theurgy, which is the two Greek words together, which means God work. But what it means is that there's something like intelligent spirits out there that you can interact with. And if you're really lucky, they'll do things on your behalf, and if you're not so lucky, they'll possess you or do bad things. So that's what it is: divination, force of will, and theurgy. That's what magic is about.
These three modes of magic are also, not surprisingly, manifestations of the Spirit through the exercise of faith. Through the Spirit, a man can have the gift of prophecy, which magic calls divination. The Spirit also manifests itself in the working of all forms of miracles. The magic term of this is force of will, whereby the physical world is affected according to intent. Magical theurgy is also present in the gifts of the Spirit. The Holy Ghost, who manifests these powers, is a spirit working at the behest of a man. Furthermore, this same Spirit allows a man to discern other spirits and, if need be, command them. In summary, faith and magic share all the same functions and attributes. Magic, real magic in its gospel expression, is simply faith as a principle of supernatural power. There is, however, another form of supernatural power in the gospel of Jesus Christ. It is called the priesthood, which is the power of God. God promised Abraham this priesthood and this power. But if faith is the gospel mechanism to perform all manner of supernatural power, then what is the power of the priesthood? And for that matter, what are the miraculous gifts of the Spirit in relation to priesthood power?